Hi everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for joining the Aladin show. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. And today I have another amazing inspirational guest on. As you know, if you've been watching my shows, all of my guests are really inspirational, with amazing energy, and they're there to help a lot of people. This is a feel-good show, and that's what I love. I mean, I'm so passionate about this show because the amount of people that I meet are just want to help so many people out there. And today I have another amazing guest, as I said. Her name is Yeti. I'm from South Africa. And she will actually pronounce her last name, which I can't pronounce, but she will. She's achieved so much things in her life, and she will actually explain more about it. But one of her biggest dreams is to see Mount Everest, which she has. Even with the health challenges she had, and she able to achieve one of her dreams. She's also the founder of Zebra Adventures. Is for females, and as a tour operating for females, and operating tours around South Africa. There's a lot of words there, but it's amazing. I've always wanted to go to South Africa, and imagine going with so many women around the world and seeing the beautiful parts of South Africa. So this is something that you need to listen if you're planning to go to South Africa in the near future. She also supports a lot of charities, especially with kind of working with violence against women and children in Cape Town, and also around the world. So she's a charity worker. She's helping women to see South Africa. So if you're a lonely woman and looking for a tour, this is a lady you need to listen into, and the things she's overcome herself. She's just an amazing inspiration woman. So I'd like to welcome Yeti on the show. Welcome, Yeti.
It's lovely to be with you.
Oh, thank you. I kind of read your bio, and I was quite inspired. I've never met a lady like you. You just achieved so much, and you've obviously created a beautiful tour for women in South Africa. And so that's something I was planning to do. I'm thinking, it would be lovely to go to South Africa. And some of my friends said, you need to go, it's a lovely place. And I thought, how do I get there, being a single woman. And it's so nice to find something that, you can, join up with so many other women as well. But before we go to that, I know I mentioned about the Everest, you've actually seen it, with your own eyes. And I'd like to know how, I know that you've had some health challenges, and one of your dreams was to be to see it. So can you tell me, why you wanted to see it? Why was that a passion?
I think my family from a young age was well-traveled. And if I say well-traveled, I'm talking dad just going on business trips and things like that. But I had a little sticker book, and I always, when I find an article about Everest, I cut it out, and I had this in my book. So I always had this dream, looking at a mountain, because in South Africa we had amazing, the Drakensberg, which is beautiful mountains, but I always wondered how much taller, Everest is above them. So I always had this imagination of one day I'll see it. But like life happens, as a mum, life, you have children and you have your career, and sometimes we as women forget who we are. We let our dreams slide away, and there was always, something up with my health, and we couldn't pinpoint it. When I was much younger, I was, very hypermobile, so it actually helped with my sport, which I played professionally at a young age. And when my son was born, the gene, that hEDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the gene, actually my hypermobility swapped around. So all my muscles started being really stiff and painful. And so it was in the back of my mind, something is up. But because it is such a rare disease, and no doctors, not a lot of doctors have the knowledge of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I was, after 12 years, finally diagnosed with it. And I did my own research and things like that. But By the time I was diagnosed, it was 2018, and I was overweight, and I was, I was not depressed, but I knew that I'm missing something. And I was sitting next to my son's swimming, he was having swimming lessons, and I was going through my Facebook, as you do, and an ad popped up about a women's organization, a travel company that takes little groups of women to Everest Base Camp. But what was very appealing was that they make use of porters to carry the bags. And for that reason, I don't have to carry my own bags, because you see, with EDS, I dislocate, my joints dislocate very easily. And as much as my joints dislocate, all my internal organs are also hypermobile. So there's a lot of things going on with this. But anyway, so when I was finally diagnosed, and in the same week saw this ad, I immediately wrote to the company and I said, listen, send me information. I just wanted to know more. Half an hour later, I arrived home with my eyes like puffy, crying. And I just remember I said to my husband, I'm going to go to Everest Base Camp. And, he was looking at me, and you can see inside there's so many thoughts. And he just said, great, when are you going? And he's so supportive. And it started off a journey of a lot of MRIs still, because I was in a very early stage of diagnosis. A lot of other things always go hand in hand with EDS. And I trained for 1 year, a full year. And obviously I need to build my body up, because I was falling apart. If you have never trained and all of a sudden you have this massive challenge ahead of you, you run in all kinds of problems because your muscles are not used to it. So I'm very prone to injury. So I had to build my strength up, eating healthy, losing weight. But I've realized in the process, for us as women, to be accountable for what you're doing, and it's actually to get it out there as soon as possible, to tell people. Because, if you want something, sometimes you procrastinate and you think, how I'm going to get out of this. And then you end up maybe not doing it. So I started a blog, and I literally put my diagnosis out there. And when I go for DEXA scans or whatever, I took a photo and I shared my training. And as I grew stronger, the people following me also grew. And it was so amazing to see the women next to me supporting me. It was almost like they were cheering me on. So I always had that passion to work with women, because, through counselling or whatever I was busy with in the past. But exactly 1 year after I was diagnosed with EDS and POTS, POTS, just briefly, is when your heart rate can climb even if you're sitting down, and the blood doesn't pump, or your heart doesn't pump the blood to your brain. So you faint and you get dizzy, blah, blah, blah. So a year after I started training, I stood at Everest Base Camp, and I had a lot of support. But Aladin, I nearly didn't make it. So there's, on my blog page, there's a big, my whole story is on there. This is really the short version of it. I've never, in all my life, with my sport background, I'm always the kind of person who can talk myself either out of a situation or into. I'm a very positive in general. So if I cannot do things, I was like, come on, you can push through, you can do this, that type of stuff. And 150 meters before I reached Everest Base Camp, my body just completely and utterly stopped. I had picked up about 2 days before that a very bad cough. And a sore throat, which is quite normal if you're in the Khumbu Valley, because of the exertion and high altitude, you breathe faster, and it's cold air, zero humidity, so your bronchi and your lungs obviously take a strain, and it's irritating. And mix that with the glacier dust, it's really not good. So I really had this painful cough. And with my EDS, my fatigue obviously didn't help. I didn't sleep at night because of the altitude tablets that didn't mix with my blood thinners that I was on. So there was a lot of things that didn't go my way at this stage. But I woke up and I walked that morning. But 150 meters before I reached Everest Base Camp, this happened. And for the first time, I experienced a mental block. And I've never, honestly, like I said to you, I can talk myself out, but my body didn't get the message from my brain to stand up. And I knew that I failed. It was the hardest for me to realize, I was sitting there, and actually where I sat, I could see base camp, and I could see the tents, and I could see Everest sticking out, and it was there, but I couldn't physically get myself up. And I remembered I leaned forward on my hiking poles, and I was sobbing, and I was just saying, God, come on, I came all the way here. I went through so much. How come this is happening? But what I didn't realize, I think my son was, oh my gosh, my math's not great, but I think he was 11 years old. He took my hiking poles before I left. And here in England, he wrote at the bottom of my poles, I love you, Mummy. And I didn't see it because my poles were extended the whole time. And as I was sobbing and praying, I looked down and I just saw this message. And it was almost like my body, my brain, everything just aligned. I cannot explain this to anybody, but I got the message to stand up. It was basically all. I stood up, and I was basically in that frame of mind saying, Janette, you're made for greatness. You can do this. Come on, you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for so many people who gave up on their dreams, who think that life is over because maybe they divorced or, they forgot about their dreams. You're doing it for all these people with hEDS. And I remember I walked down, and my friend, who's a photographer, which I met on the team because I didn't know the ladies that I was walking with, she took these amazing photos of me when I was actually realizing with a message, and also when I reached base camp. So from there, it was obviously sheer, exhilaration and happiness. But I knew that I had to go back. And it was a 3-kilometer hike. There is about 3 hours long, just purely because of the terrain you're walking. You're 5,300 meters above sea level, so it's breathing. That night at the tea house, my water bottle froze solid next to my head. So, these places are not insulated at all. And I was coughing, and they wanted to evacuate me with my teammate the next morning. But I had this feeling, and also I will never put my life, on the line for something silly. And I remember my Sherpa, the guide who actually helped me, said to me, Janette, you can do this. I will carry your backpack for you. You do this. And the hardest thing for me was to see that helicopter left with my roommate, and knowing I have to descend for 3 more days in the state that I was in. But Aladin, a long story short, I made it down, and I just saw how 6 strangers, 6 women who never knew each other, met 12 days prior to this, and how they supported each other, and how we all grew through this journey because we stepped out of our comfort zone and we followed something that, we all had our different reasons why we wanted to see Everest. For me, it was purely as a young kid that, I want to see it, but it became something more than that. It was to overcome a mountain, and my mountain was my health. And coming back to England, I knew I wanted to do something where women are coming out of that comfort zone, and where they can also deal with wherever they are in life. We are at different stages and ages, but we have one thing in common, and that is we want to have adventure, and we want to have our lives, a full life. So I love travel, and I thought, why not combining all of it together? So I created a company where we kind of put ladies they have to obviously step out and fly to Cape Town themselves. Now, for a lot of us, we can do it. It's easy to fly from here to there on our own, but there are a lot of women it's a big thing just to fly on their own. So if you can fly to Cape Town, we have you sorted in Cape Town for 12 days. It's 5 days in Cape Town, and 3 days in the wonderful Winelands, and then safari at the end for 3 days. So that's in a nutshell my story. Obviously, my health is ongoing, and one day is better than the other. But I truly and honestly believe, and that's the reason why I share my story to people out there, is we, men and women, we all have a story to share. And you need to find what that story is, because you can change one life. And if it's one life that you can change, that person can go out and share a positive story with the rest of her group or his group. And my story is all about resilience and not to give up and follow your dreams. So yes, there we are.
Wow, that's fantastic, So those tours for females, is it kind of small or big?
Yes,
or is it small?
Yes, it's boutique tours, so we never want to go higher than total of 10. So the tours are never bigger than 10 ladies per tour, purely because we want to keep it small, and it's a boutique tour. So if it's more intimate if we can have a smaller group where we can give quality time to the ladies. A little, it's not a Kontiki tour where it's a party. It's for a more mature lady who knows who she is in terms of age as well. But we cater for everything above 45 years of age.
Fantastic, that's really good. I'm sure a lot of viewers might be watching and thinking, well, that's what I'm looking for. So we'll kind of give you the details after the end of the show, where you could find Zebra Adventures as well. Also, you do support charities in
Yes.
South Africa as well. Maybe explain a wee bit more about that.
Yes. As a female tour operator, I felt that to give back to other women is what I really want to do. Now, gender violence is across the world. It's really high on our agenda, purely because during COVID, obviously, in South Africa, a lot of the gender violence spiked because of in South Africa during COVID. They removed alcohol because that was a ban during COVID. Mm-hmm. So if you remove somebody who's dependent on alcohol, they're going to turn to the ladies. And unfortunately, it is a cultural thing as well. So I'm working with an organization called The Circle. The founder is Annie Lennox. You know Annie Lennox. So they support a lot of charities across the world. The one specific one we support is Nonceba Counselling Center in Khayelitsha, which is a township. And they basically take women in who has been really badly abused, doesn't have a house because the men kick them out, and children as well. So the counselling center takes them in, but they give them legal advice. They train them. They in a job, they make sure they are healthy and set up, and after a certain time, they help them find a job, but they still support them until they're strong enough to stand on their own feet. So that is our way of giving back. So for every tour that we take to South Africa, a portion of everybody's money, that's what they pay for the tours, will go to the Circle to support Nonceba.
That's a really good cause. Yeti, it's lovely what you're doing for women and children of kind of South Africa, around the world as well. So where could people find you? So do you have a website that people could maybe contact you?
Yeah. For Zebra Adventures, it's very easy. It's zebraadventures.com, and that is for the female tours. I have to say at this point, because we do get a lot of men saying, oh, do you do fishing tours? Or, we do private tours and corporate tours as well. So, just email. The details are on there. That is the website. So for social media, it's very easy. It's at Zeb Adventures, and that's for Instagram and Facebook. And then for my hiking page, which is Zebra at Altitude, and that is, as it is on Facebook, it's at Zebra at Altitude, and my blog page you can find via the Facebook page.
Okay. Well, that was lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I think you're an amazing lady. Obviously, what you have achieved and what you're giving back to the world as well. And I mean, that's the reason I love doing this show, because, people like yourself come on and, this is, maybe a lot of people haven't, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of you, but, I'm sure more people still haven't heard of you. So get out there, maybe in America and parts of the world, people are looking to go to South Africa. And I'm sure whoever's watching, wherever you are, I'm sure, you know, this is something that you might be thinking of. So thank you, Yeti, for coming on and sharing your lovely energy.
It's a big pleasure. Thank you. No, it's a big pleasure.
Thank you again. So yeah, everybody out there, if you're planning a tour in South Africa and looking for adventure, Zebra Adventures is the place to be. Go with them. So have a look at our Facebook and the website as well. So thank you, Yeti. So thank you for coming on, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And thank you everybody who's been watching the Aladin Show. Thank you for your support for the Aladin Show, and thank you for being there, and keep on watching. I have more fantastic shows coming on with fantastic guests from around the world. So anyway, I will see you later, and keep on watching, share with your family and friends as well, and take care. Have a fantastic week. Bye.